Let's talk to the man that Tony Dungy referred to as the greatest assistant football coach in NFL history, Coach Tom Moore, who's got a new book out this week with Rick Stroud called The Player's Coach From Bradshaw to Manning to Brady and Beyond. Coach, got Jason and Jeff here. Congratulations on the book.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be on your show.
Talk to us about this. You're somebody who does this because you love it and it's fun, but what's it like to see 60 years of coaching experience, 45 in the NFL, put together in a book?
Well, I wanted to chronicle my experience and life and uh, the game of football, and the National Football League has allowed me to live a dream. And I wanted to share that with people. I wanted to share a lot of lessons learned with other young coaches. Maybe they'll read the book. I know I read Bill Cowher's book. And so many things were in that book I wish he'd written it 30 years ago because I learned so much, but didn't have that many years to apply it. So maybe some of the things that I've said in the book can help younger coaches. And then I also wanted to really express my gratitude and thanks to all the players, coaches, owners, and fans that I've had an opportunity to work with and for.
Coach, you've coached so many teams, so many great teams, so many great players. The thing I actually wanted to ask you about first that I took away from your book was your early coaching days, coaching in the Army. What was it like for you to coach in the Army while you were serving your country?
It was great. I went to Korea and was assigned a platoon up in the 8th Cav, and I was talking to the colonel at the officers club, and he asked me how I liked it, and I said, it's okay, I like it, but I said, I love coaching. Well, it just so happened that the existing division sports officer and football coach was rotating back to the States, so he knew the general, so he got me an interview. And you're 8,000 miles away from the United States, and the troops, they need different types of entertainment. So we had 4 teams in Korea, 2 in Okinawa, and 2 in Japan, and we played each other. And it was great entertainment. It was a great sporting uh, for the troops, and we played every Sunday, just like the pros. And they'd bring the troops in and big trucks, and that was your entertainment. And trust me, the generals wanted to win every bit as bad as the owners do. and and then because of Coach there, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, when I came back. And service football in those days, the United States was big. And the team at Fort Benning, actually, that was personnel wise, that was the best team that I coached. I got into professional football.
What was the thing that you took away from that experience?
Um, the first thing I learned in the Army, and the colonel told me very explicitly as an officer that you can delegate authority but not responsibility. And he made it very clear you're responsible. You're responsible for these people, you're responsible for what they do, and you're responsible to put on a good show. So that element of responsibility as opposed to authority has always stuck with me, and stuck with me even as I became a coordinator in college and in the NFL. You are responsible.
Seems like that was good advice for what you ended up getting. That seems like a compliment from Chuck Noll when you were in Pittsburgh to that of he taught you the philosophy to make the best better. Talk about how that became the foundation for what you did, coupled with what you learned during your time in the Army.
Well, that was Chuck's philosophy of making the best better, and his application of doing that was teaching, and teaching fundamentals and teaching techniques, so players could play fast. He was more into teaching than he wanted teachers, not presenters. as coaches, and that's what makes them better. And that also was Chuck's form of motivation. Uh, he used to tell the players the first day of training camp, "I'm here to teach you, not motivate you." And motivation to him was very simple. If you teach someone how to do something that they didn't know how to do, and then they're asked to do it and they have success, that motivates them. So that was what he wanted you to do: teach them how to do things so they have success.
You know, Coach, you've coached some of the greatest quarterbacks in this game, some of the smartest quarterbacks in this game. I'm going to put you on the spot, not ask you who's your favorite, because I guarantee you, you're not giving us an answer.
Right. You're correct on that one.
If you had a choice, you could have one or the other, but you couldn't have both. Would you want a great mind of the game or a great physical athlete?
Well, I think you'd like a combination of both. I think you got to have the physical prowess to play the game, the mental aspect of the game. All three quarterbacks that we're talking about were very smart. Were able to call their own plays. I know Terry did at Pittsburgh, and we got to the point where Manning was very, very special. He could do things. He could read things at the line of scrimmage. And the thing that you're looking for in a quarterback is three things. Number one, the quarterback that can remember and recall what he's seen. And then once you recall it, then you have to process what you're looking at. And then once you process it, then you got to execute. And you get about 1.8 seconds to do that. And all three of these guys were special at doing that. And I've told people Peyton was special, and I was very involved with him. If we didn't take advantage of what he was able to do at the line of scrimmage by checking and calling his own plays, they'd have thrown me in jail for malpractice.
It takes me longer than 1.8 seconds to figure out what I want to ask you yet. I just can't imagine processing all those things that quickly. The book talks about your role in the evolution of football, but you kind of talk about as much as things have changed, it's still about blocking and tackling. Talk about how the game has changed, but also stayed the same through what you've seen.
Well, one thing that the game has changed, obviously, is the throwing game. That has evolved, and I think that really started to evolve in 1978 when they changed the chuck rule at the line of scrimmage, where you couldn't jam the receivers after 5 yards. And that in part was due to Mel Blount, because he was such a force at the line of scrimmage. That opened up the game from a passing standpoint. And then I think the colleges have perpetuated that because, in colleges, number one, you don't see fullbacks anymore. You don't see the great blocking tight ends. A lot of your tight ends are actually big wide receivers, and they throw the ball more. I mean, I was just watching games this past weekend, and you'd see college quarterbacks throwing the ball for 300, 350 yards. Well, that has evolved over the years, and then that transfers up into the pro ranks. So you see a bit more of a passing game.
Coach, you've been doing this for a long time. What motivates you to still stay involved in the game?
Well, I love it. It's my life. It's the one thing that I truly enjoy doing. And I tell people I'm 85 years old. And you don't know until you're 85 years old how great a feeling it is to have a job and a place to go to work.
The book in the preview says in an era of systems, analytics, and X's and O's, Moore maintains a refreshing focus on the Jimmies and Joes. You are always quick to remind people that it's about the players. I know this book is your book, and so you're getting credit, but talk to us about what it's like to go through the game giving credit to the players as opposed to seeking it yourself.
Well, it is a player's game, and a lot of fun. I guess a lot of my philosophy was cemented with Chuck Noll's philosophy because it was very similar. And once he believed the same things, why it just confirmed what I always thought. And it's a player's game. And I remember Chuck was telling me when he was at Pittsburgh and having those great years and great success, he said, Tom, don't ever get into financial competition with your players. And if you ever remember, Chuck never took any commercials, no endorsements, no speaking engagements. He says, Tom, give everything to the players. It's the players' game for the fans and for the owners. And we're kind of caretakers to try to help them get into their life's work and have success. And to me, that's the fun of coaching too. When you see guys that you coach have the great success, the Tony Dungy's, the Lynn Swans, the John Stallworths, the Peyton Manning, these guys have excelled in football, but after football, they've gone on and had great careers. That's very rewarding.
Coach, you coach on the offensive side of the ball, but you played on you coached in a Steelers era where the defense was so dominant. What's it like for an offensive coordinator, an offensive coach, or an offensive player to be able to lean on a defense like the defenses that those Steelers had?
Well, it's very rewarding, and it's a team game, and anytime one side of the ball is dominant over the other, why that side feels very comforting. And I know, take the Oakland Raiders. Well, they had a punter by the name of Ray Guy, as you recall. Well, he himself could control the game with field position. The defense knew that the offense was going to have a long ways to go when they got the ball just because of a punter. So it encompasses everything, and each team has its strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes the defense has to help the offense till they get going. I think you saw that as evidence last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense at the beginning of the season was very good, and then the offense came along. So each side helps the other, and that's the fun of the game. That's why it's a team game.
We last once before we let you go. When you were studying for the Senior Bowl tape with Chuck Noll many, many years ago, he asked if you had watched the tape before you put the game plan together. And he said,
Right.
how can you put it together if you don't look at the players' abilities? Talk about how you approached putting the game together with the talent that you had.
Well, you got to do what your players do, and I think that's one of the things with coaches, and it gets back to players. Can this player do what you're actually asking him to do, or is he good at what you're asking him to do? For instance, when I was at Pittsburgh, we were a trapping team and a double team kickout team. And I went to Minnesota, but then I went to the Detroit Lions, where Barry Sanders was. And we didn't run the trap there. I love the trapping game, but we didn't run the trap there because that was not Barry's thing. And Barry, to run a trapping game, you got to believe the hold is going to be there when you get there. Well, Barry just wanted you to give him the ball, and he'll find a hole, and he'll create the hole. So that's what you do. So I was there 3 years, and we never ran a trap. And then with Barry Sanders, I was talking to him one time, and it's in the book. He said, Tom, he said, every game starts very fast. And the more I carry the ball, the slower the game goes. And so you had to give Barry the ball 25, 28 times to get him going in. And you look at Barry's stats, sometimes he'd have 15 carries for 43 yards. then he'd end up with 25 carries for 178 yards. And that was true of Barry. So that's the thing. If you got into a substitution thing with Barry, well, you're not taking advantage of what he does.
There are a million more anecdotes like that in the book. The book, again, is The Player's Coach, From Bradshaw to Manning to Brady and Beyond. Coach Tom Moore, thank you so much for giving us some time to talk. Best of luck with the book and the season.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's our honor. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.